That is the beauty of your namespaces, right? So we are telling that the namespaces will prevent the pollution, right? So that will lead to the name clashes. How it is going to do? Say for example, if we are writing a program like this, right? So I am writing one class called A. So I am completing that within one header file called a1.h. I am writing one more header file called a2.h. Within that I am writing one more class called A, right? If I include both the header files, see here global namespaces not with respect to program, with respect to header files I'm talking. So I'm declaring one header file called a1.h. Within that I'm writing one class called a. One more header file a2.h. Within that I'm writing class a. Suppose in a program if I include both a1.h, a2.h. So what is going to happen? Say for example, I have included a1.h, a2.h, and I am calling the class A. I am creating an object. So this is where the problem will come. What is the problem? Whether it has to take the class A from A1 or class A from A2. So the ambiguity will come into the picture. So how we need to solve this problem? See, we cannot assure that, say for example, Tina is creating one header file called svce.h. Tina is creating one header file called svce.h. And I am creating one more header file called isc.h. What we both of us we are doing, Tina is also calling a class called isc. I am also calling a class called isc. So when other programmers, if they use both the header files svce.h and isc.h, and if you call the class isc, so which class it needs to call? So that is where ambiguity will come into the picture. So how to avoid this ambiguity? So that is what we are going to see now. So what we need to do is we need to create two different namespaces. That's it. So to overcome this, we need to create two namespaces separately, right? So how it is going to be done, we will see. Yes. So namespace A1, within that I'm calling class A. Another namespace A2, I'm calling class A. So what is the difference between previous one and this one? Here I've directly called the header file a1.h, a2.h. But here I'm creating one namespace within a1.h, namespace A2 within a2.h. Now what is going to happen? Two different namespaces will be created. And the corresponding namespace followed by the scope resolution operator, we can make use of it. Now you can see here I'm including a1.h, a2.h using namespace a1, right? So when you call using namespace a1, so when you call the class a, it is going to be direct to the class A of namespace a1. So, and for this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the class namespace name A2 followed by scope resolution operator. Now it will access the class A in namespace A2. Right? So this is how it is going to happen. This is how it is going to solve the problem. See the question which we have seen, right? How the namespace will prevent the pollution of the name classes. So how it is going to do clashes? So if you are having the two similar class names, still you can make use of it because we are going to use the namespace followed by the scope resolution operator. So now it will directly identify which class I need to access, So that is how it is going to avoid the ambiguity. Right? So how the namespace it is going to work, our syntax is going to work is, so usually namespaces will have a very long names. For that we are going to use a small shortcut name, that is like alias name. So using namespace std is the alias name. So that might be a standard input output functions, some big name will be there, right? Then within that we'll define the class. In the main function we are going to call this namespace followed by the scope resolution operator. That's it. So this is how the confusion will be clarified. Aliases we are going to use alias. That's what I'm telling. Hope you know what is alias. Alias is nothing but instead of using standard input output, we can make it alias as std like that. Okay. Yeah. So this is an example. Instead of using very big name, we are using alias as X. So X is going to be alias for this very big name. Any doubt with respect to these namespaces? Any doubt with respect to these namespaces? Or do you want me to explain once again? Just give me 1 minute. Do you want me to explain once again? I'll explain. Oh, it is uploaded. You can make use of it. Ask me any question is there. All right. So is it clear? Yeah. So is it clear, everyone, why we are using namespaces? How it will avoid the confusion of the no ambiguity of the class names? Or do you want me to explain once again? Is it clear? But this is very important question either for 5 marks or 6 marks or 4 marks, depending on the question. But you need to write full answer. Either it is for 4 marks or 5 marks or 6 marks. You need to write full one more time. Okay. So it's very simple. What we are doing, you just clearly understand now. Right. So basically, while we'll go for namespaces is the namespaces are global in nature. That's why they are called as global namespace. So the namespaces are going to work for source code as well as header files directly or indirectly. Directly or indirectly. So whenever we declare the namespaces in the the source code, so every class will come under that particular namespace. Every class will come under namespace. So what is the advantage of namespace in C++ is it will prevent the pollution of the global namespace that leads to the name clashes. So whatever name clashes are going to happen, that will be avoided in the C++. So what is namespace clashing or ambiguity? Say for example, I'm creating one header file called a1.h. Within that function header file, I'm writing a class A. I'm creating one more header file a2.h. Within that, I'm creating class A. Within that, I'm creating class A. So now what is going to happen? Just a second. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, it is correct. Some remark is coming. Okay. So now what is going to happen? See, this is class A. This is class A. This is a1.h, this is a2.h. So now what is going to happen if I use that a1.h, a2.h in my C++ program? If I use a1.h, a2.h in C++, when I call the class A for creating an object, now the compiler get confused whether to access this class A from a1.h or class A from a2.h. So that is the ambiguity which is going to come. So to avoid this, we are going to use the namespaces. To avoid this, we are going to use the namespaces. So how we are going to avoid this? So we are going to create a namespace A1. Within that, I'm going to call the class A. This is for header file A1.h. At the same time, I'm going to create a namespace called A2. Within that, I'm calling class A and I'm using A2.h. So now with respect to namespace, I'm going to access. How it is going to be done? So using namespace A1 as usual, I'm calling the A. For the next A, I'm going to call the namespace using scope resolution operator. I'm calling the next A2 that is namespace using the scope resolution operator. Now, when this compiler comes and executes this line, it will directly go to namespace A1 because it is very clearly understood. When it comes here, it is also clearly understood that the namespace is A2. So it will come here and it will execute this class. So this is how the namespaces will be helping us to avoid the confusion or clash between the names of the classes, and these namespaces you can include anywhere in the program. Just you need to add scope resolution operator. So let me make you one real time example clear for this. So let me go to my Sublime Text. You can see here, nowhere I am including any scope resolution operator. Actually, as per my namespace instructions, every time what I need to do, I need to include scope resolution operator along with namespace name, right? Along with this, I need to do like this every time for every instruction. For every instruction, I need to do this. So what I'm doing is to avoid this, what I'm doing the global declaration of the namespace. C++ will allow the global declaration of namespace. How to do that? I'm using namespace std. So that means this std is applicable to all these instructions. But whereas here in my example, I'm going to create namespace A1. That's it. So when I'm using namespace A1, so it is applicable to entire code. So wherever I want, I can make use of it. Because there are two namespaces here, I'm using the scope resolution operator. If there is only one namespace, no need to use the scope resolution operator. So now how the namespaces will be created? The namespace name will be always very long in nature. It will be very big name. So for this, we are going to create the alias. So what is meant by alias? So alias is nothing but, say for example, if I'm using namespace name as standard input output, for this alias will be std. This is the alias. Say for example, if I'm creating namespace svce student details, I can make it as svce std. So instead of using very big name, I can make it as svce stu, like this. So the aliases will help us in accessing the namespace, right? So in order to avoid that long names, we are going to use it. So you can see here example, I have created one namespace with very big name. For that alias, I'm using X. So where I'm doing that, here you can see namespace X equals to this original namespace name. Namespace X equals to the original namespace name. So this is how alias will be created for the namespaces. This is how the alias will be created. So once you create the alias, you can start using the alias name. So there is no harm in that. Right? So this is how the namespaces will be used. Is it clear now? Still any confusion? If you read once, then you can understand much more easily. All right. Right. So let me go to the next topic. So this already we have seen. We can use the nested inner classes. So a class can be written within the class. That is called nested class. See, I have written a class called A. Within that, I am calling class B. First, this class B execution will be done. Then the class A execution will be done. So this is called nested classes. So the nested classes when we defined as public, private, or protected. How it is going to be defined? Based on the closed braces, flower braces, which you are going to use, right? You can see here, I am creating a class called A. Within that, I am defining one variable, and publicly I am creating one more class called B. Within that, I am doing some activity, declaration of variables. I am closing class B here, then I am closing class A. So in the main function, what I am doing, I am just calling the size of int, right? I am calling size of A, right? So size of is as you know, so it is what you call function, or you might have seen like a keyword or whatever it is. So when I call this, it is going to calculate the value of size of particular integer, right? So this is how nested classes will be written. So when you are creating nested classes, the only thing you should remember is avoid the name collision. So create class A here, again one more class A here. So that is not possible. Apart from that, whatever you want to do, you can do in the nested classes. Okay, so you will get the output as 4 and 4. Yeah, so okay, this is as usual, so no need to explain much about it, already you know. So what we are doing here, to create nested classes, first I'm creating class called A. In the public class, in the public, I'm creating one more class called B. So within that, I'm writing one function called B test. So now this B test belongs to both class A and class B because both of them are inner classes, right? So when I write the body of this function using scope resolution, I should write like void A scope resolution, B scope resolution, then function, So this is how we need to write it. Because why we are using void? Because here it is void only. That's why I'm using void. If it is integer, int, already I shown you this how it will work. So when you are using inner classes, if you want to use scope resolution operator, you need to mention all the inner classes, The scope resolution operator and how it's going to work. There are also same thing, passing the parameters to the functions and all. So already we have seen that. You can understand, right? So is it clear? Nested inner classes. It's very simple. Creating inner classes, calling using scope resolution operator, and then we are seeing how it is going to work. Any doubt in the nested inner classes, please ask. I'm just going to put that program. Sorry, I'm just going to put that program. You can ask. I'll just pause for a minute. You can ask any doubt is there nested inner classes. All right. So is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So now we'll go for the one more important topic, both for your internal exam and external exam, is constructors. Can any one of you tell me what is constructor, if you have an idea? Any idea what is constructor? So in general, what is constructor as per your English terminology? Okay, no idea. In English, I'm not talking about C++ or technology. In English, what is constructor? What do you call it as constructor? So people will say constructing company. Hey, what is your business? My business is construction. Constructing company, right? So here also, see what is construction usually? So the process of building a building or the process of constructing a building starting from the raw material till you get the final key, right? So build someone or builds words, building words, okay, right? So here also, when you want to build a program, it is not built just like that. It is not built just like that. We want someone to help us. See, let me just go here. See, I have written some program. I have written some program. When I execute this program, of course, compiler is there to compile. But who is going to inform compiler? Hey, there is a program. Someone is trying to execute it. Someone is trying to compile it. You go and compile it. Who will inform that? There should be someone, right? So once someone informs, if there is any error, who will inform us back? Right? See, what is compiler work? To compile it and see whether there is any error. If there is any error, it will say there is error, but who is going to bring back that from the compiler? Right? So that is where your constructor will come into the picture. So technically, if you see, so the constructor will get called automatically when you create the object. So the moment you create the object in C++, constructor gets called automatically. So it is one of the member function of each class. It is member function of each class. It's a default member function of each class. Whether you define it or not, automatically it will be created when you create the object. The name of the constructor is going to be the class name. The name of the constructor, it is going to be the class name, right? So the constructor will get called automatically for each object when you create it. So it is going to be the member function of each class. Whether you define it or not, it will get created automatically. And it has the same name as that of class, right? So sometimes it will take parameters, sometimes it not take parameters. Sometimes it will be having return time, sometimes it doesn't have any return time. So most of the times it is void type, that is no return type. So the prototype of constructor is class name parameter list. That's it. Class name parameter list. So as I said, the moment we create an object. So here no object concept. Okay. The moment we create an object, let me just go here. This is the main function anywhere. All right, you can see here. The moment you create these objects with respect to the class called distance, with respect to the class called distance. So yeah, with respect to the class called distance, the moment you create the objects, the constructor will get created. Automatically, it will get created. What is the default name for constructor? The class name. It is going to be something like a function. So the default name for the constructor is class name, and the default syntax is class name followed by the function with parameters or without parameters, right? So without constructor, your program is not going to execute. So the constructor will be there. So the constructor is going to help us as a bridge between your programming and the compiler, interpreter, your system, whatever you call it as. So there are different types of constructors. One is called default constructor, zero argument constructor, parameterized constructor, explicit constructor, copy constructor. Very important question for your as well as for the IA also. Types of constructors: default constructor, zero argument constructor, parameterized constructor, explicit constructors, and copy constructors. So constructor is going to be a default concept in C++. The moment you create object, constructors got created. Constructor got created, right? So here you can see the example. We called a class called A. We called a class called A. For this, I create an object called A1. So the moment object created, the constructor will be called. The constructor will be called. It will take care of its work. It will take care of this work, right? So that is how constructor is going to work. So we will see different types of constructor, all those things in the next class. I don't want you to get confused. Now you understand only namespaces and inline functions. So next class, we'll go for the constructors, destructors, array of objects. Constructors, destructors, array of objects.